Happy Tuesday, meteorologist Diane Phillips here with a look at your forecast. Today we still have that mild feeling outside as highs are going to be headed into the lower 40s. The change though is that it's going to be a little more cloudy today than that wonderful sunshine that we had yesterday. Still going to be watching for a stray raindrop or even snowflake to be moving on in. Much though of the activity that we've been seeing on radar today has actually evaporated before it hits the surface. And also with temperatures being above freezing, we're going to find that what does make it to the surface is mainly going to be in the raindrop category. Here's a look at that radar. And like I said, it's been busy traveling all the way through Indiana, now moving into southeast Michigan, northwest Ohio. And yeah, there's a little bit of blue here. There's a little bit of pink, a little bit of green. Looks like a lot, but like I said, a lot of us are not seeing our sensors recording any precipitation making the ground here. Did get a report out of Defiance seeing some rainfall there, just some lighter rain. So we do have some moisture that's able to survive that dry column of air as it falls from the cloud to the ground, but many of us are going to be working with a mostly dry Tuesday. Now we're going to be looking at quite a bit of a swing here. We have a mild feel here to start early on in the week. It'll be quiet and dry, but then you're going to find later this week we have a storm moving in. It's going to have some rain and some snow, and all of this activity is, well, one, abnormal for winter, but two, it's playing with our temperatures to where you're going to see on our temperature trend, well, we're a little bit up and down, left and right. You can also see that temperature trend at any time with the WTOL 11 weather app. The daily tab, you're going to want to tap that at the bottom of your app. It's right there. And once you tap on that, you're able to see that full 10-day with the temperatures. Also, you're able to see precipitation chances, just like what you can see on radar. So rain, snow, and you'll have all the tools that you need to navigate that radar. And well, you're going to be using that later on because the week, like I said, it does start out quiet, but you will notice that things do start to pick up by Thursday and into Friday. But even before we get there, here's your heads up that for those who love the warmer weather, this is the forecast that you want to hear for Wednesday. We have mild kind of colors and temperatures that are building into the central plains. You can kind of see that word mild. It sneaks closer to us as we head into the later half of Tuesday and then into Wednesday. A warm front is going to be moving in to bring in temperatures that are going to be right around 50 degrees, which for January standards is a warm up. But we will find then by Thursday that mild, it doesn't really get any closer. And that's also though when that system will start to approach, and that will then once again swing those temperatures that are going to be at least a little bit mild, but are going to be cooling on down for more of a winter-like weekend. So here's a high temperature trend. You've been waiting for it. Here's 51 for tomorrow and even 47 for Thursday. So pretty warm for January standards. And then this is a little more January-like here. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'll have temperatures into the mid to upper 30s, but we're not done yet with this kind of, like I said, abnormal winter. We do have mid 40s working back into the forecast for a week from now, and that's going to last at least for much of the work week next week. So it's just a weekend that's cold, and that's okay though, because I know that we have in Perrysburg the Winterfest that's going on. So for those ice sculptures, seeing some temperatures that are at least in the 30s, that's going to help. And well, though some sun would be nice, if we're talking ice sculptures, sun maybe isn't so friendly. So something to keep an eye to there. Now, when we look at our daily almanac, we had mild temperatures once again this morning, but just to kind of give you perspective, when we're talking temperatures that'll be into the 40s and 50s, that's well above average. Typically, temperatures should be around 35 at this point in the year. And well, we'll be close to that over the weekend, but that's only for 3 days out of our 10-day forecast. And lows, they've been pretty mild as well. So if you're not parking in the garage, you're kind of happy to see that those lows maybe aren't quite on track for this season. As far as records, well, we're not going to be anywhere close to either one of those for today. And also, finally checking that almanac, sunset tonight, that's going to be at 5:24 p.m. Now, I want to take our radar trip and travel further west because we were looking here yesterday where we have that accumulating snow off into the Sierra Mountains, and then also more rainfall that's moving in as we have an atmospheric river, meaning a lot of moisture that's coming into the Golden State. So that's bringing flooding concerns, also mudslide concerns to the residents of California. But this is also the same system that's going to be traveling further or closer to us, further eastward as we head throughout this work week. So what does it look like for us? Well, it's not going to be packing as much of a punch as what it is in California. We just don't have that set up here. So by 6 o'clock Thursday, that's where I have the clock, you'll already see that the rainfall has started. So if you're going to be driving home from the office around 4 or 5 o'clock on Thursday, you are going to have a wet commute home. Center of the storm, that's going to be passing through on Thursday, and overnight as our temperatures drop, you're going to find that we transition from rain to snowfall, because as this rotates counterclockwise, it's going to take cold air from the north and wrap that in, and that's going to allow for that transition from the rain to the snowfall. So that's why we're going to be seeing some snow overnight. A lot of it, though, already starting to shift eastward at 8 o'clock Friday morning. And that means, though, we could have still yet a little bit of a light accumulation. I'm not anticipating much, though. Keep an eye on roadways whenever they are wet, however, for the Friday morning commute. And then as the system pushes out, Friday afternoon, we should be in pretty good shape, as a lot of the snowfall should be moving out of town by the time we head into dinner time on Friday. So looking at that full extended forecast, we have that eye grabber 51 on Wednesday, and then it's kind of back to those 40s, which have been, well, kind of normal for us lately, though it's not seasonally normal. That's what we have for the weekend with those 30s. Once we get through that system with the rain and the snow showers, the weekend looking dry, so that's some good news there. And once we do have those 40s for next week, that's when we're going to be finding still some rain showers. A lot of times to find those temperatures into the 40s, we got to take some rainfall to go with it. So that's a very common setup that we're seeing here for this winter season. But as far as a cold spell or a pattern shift, you're always going to want to continue to check the WTOL 11 weather app. We have video updates there. And also, like I said, that daily tab always has that full 10-day forecast waiting for you to take a look at it.